Hey there, how's it going? Been a while since I've made a video. I haven't been inclined to. I've got other things on the go, and I haven't made any videos for a while. It's been a few weeks. Figured today would probably be a good day to make one. I wanted to make it hockey orientated because, it's an interesting topic for today, and it has to do with the Bell Let's Talk in regards to mental illness. As many of you know, there have been hockey players that have suffered from mental illness and subsequently committed suicide and things like that. Most notably Wade Belak and Rick Rippon, but there's a bunch of other ones throughout the course of the NHL history. The thing about it is, Bell Let's Talk, it's a crock of shit. That's the honest truth about it. They don't want to talk about nothing. That's the problem with mental health, is that people would rather stand back and observe and basically watch the self-destruction of people with mental illness. Now, I've made videos about psychiatric medication and my opinions on them and the antidepressant venlafaxine, blah blah blah. In my opinion, which I think I'm still allowed to have, I don't know, I believe that I'm not mentally unwell. I think I'm doing fine. That's my opinion, and other people aren't going to agree, and they're going to have their reasons, and they can fuck off. Simple as that. But this whole let's talk thing, for one thing, it's one fucking day of the year. So, they're kind of full of shit. And my experience with mental health is that there is prejudice, there is discrimination. People with mental illness do get ostracized from society. They get sent to Coventry where people don't talk to them like regular people. They don't want to. Because everyone's got their fucking head down, fucking looking at their own fucking whiny little fucking problems, and they don't care about anybody else. That's fine, but that doesn't make you any less of a cunt. It doesn't. I don't care who the fuck you are. I don't go out of my way to help other people with mental illness, but I'm not quick to judge, which is the difference between me and, I will say, other Canadians. I'm sure people are just as bad elsewhere in the world, but I don't live elsewhere in the world. I live in Canada, and people are selfish pigs in this country. They simply are. There's many reasons why people could be mentally unwell. It's usually depression and anxiety and overall a sense of having no purpose or this, that, and the other. I don't really feel any of those things at any point. You're not really human if you don't feel at least a little bit bummed out from time to time, or you don't get nervous about things or whatever. There isn't a single human being on this planet that doesn't feel that at some point. And if they think they don't, then maybe they do subconsciously and they just don't want to accept it. That is part of being human. Humans have many flaws, and it's one of those things that people, they've got to try to understand that. But I am sick and tired of many misconceptions to do with mental health. For starters, most people don't know what medication actually does. The rhetoric isn't very good when it comes to that sort of stuff. In case people don't know what rhetoric means, it's basically the story about whatever, and it's supposed to be incontrovertible, and you can't argue against it. Those are the facts, blah blah blah. And it's like, no, these are lies, and your description of what the truth is highly inaccurate. And the myth about psychiatric medication, and this includes antidepressants and all that sort of stuff, is people don't take it and then all of a sudden they're normal. That's not how that stuff works at all. And no doubt about it that many NHL players who have suffered mental illness also have to take medications. However, they'll take ones that affect the body differently. No NHL player is taking, the standard psychiatric medications that cause intense sleeping issues, physically debilitating in certain ways. I had made a video where I believed that Danny Heatley might be the unfortunate recipient of, people who didn't like what happened to Dan Snyder and never gave up chasing him and are trying to make his life harder. There's no doubt about it. There's no denying it that those people didn't go away. And I mean, I'm not saying they're wrong, but I am saying they are a different type of cunt. That's simply what it is. I mean, obviously, that whole thing, we're not going to get into it. I made a video about that before, but, obviously there are things that could have been differently done, but that's how it turned out. Anyway, yeah, getting back to mental illness and how it's not talked about, and how your typical Canadian would rather stand back and watch. They'd rather get a bag of popcorn and a Slurp-a-Derp fucking 2-liter of cola and watch someone degenerate. That is a solid fact. And people are so stuck up and snobby, and you have to stop and ask, who in the fuck do you think you are? You are a stupid fucking Canadian. And like most of these people, they come riding in on their high horse, pretending, I'm so kind and courteous, and if they're mentally ill, then there must be something wrong with them, and I have every right to trash talk them behind their back, because that's the Canadian way. No, you're wrong. You're a weasel. And, should be treated as such. I don't think pseudo-intellectuals coming around and preying upon those that are vulnerable through mental illness and trash talking them in such a way that they don't quite hear it. Sometimes they're brazen enough to say it loud enough, but in an indiscreet sort of way, or discreet I should say, where they can't really pinpoint what was said, how it was said, where it was said, who said it. I have been an unfortunate recipient of that, for sure. I've had names called at me, through the grapevine that I was able to hear, can't pinpoint its source, and it really is the tip of the iceberg. Like, it's worse than that. And this sort of stuff just perpetuates and worsens people with mental illness. Now, I have climbed above that because an important factor is it doesn't matter what they think. It doesn't matter because they're pieces of trash. For the most part, like, I rarely run into decent human beings. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. You walk around the street, you go to your places, you do your things, you're not going to run into decent people. So most people are not decent. And they may think they are, but they're not. Either that or they're incredibly stupid. Like, and being old's not an excuse either. A lot of old people are cunts. I remember seeing such instance, I may have mentioned this in a video before real quick, where I saw a woman mentally ill, nothing particularly creepy about her, but she did something a little odd. She basically dropped her handbag and scuttled across the street, and she wasn't screaming, but she was like, I don't know, she wasn't elevating her voice, but anyway, and I just saw this old bitch who walked by, and she's like, she should be on medications and things, and I'm like, yeah, and you're like a dinosaur. You were probably around when lobotomies were considered normal. It kind of makes you an old bitch, doesn't it? She's just a mixed up woman. the one who dropped her handbag and things like that. And, you know, she was having a moment, whatever. But, you know, your typical Canadian don't look at it that way. Because they're ignorant, they're pig ignorant as to what psychiatric medication does to people. I would not recommend it to anyone, and I wouldn't even recommend going to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. All they ever do is give you medication that makes you sick, and if you complain about being sick, they amplify it. If you give them any pretext that they want to hear and it can exaggerate on, like if you drink alcohol, which was my vice, my thing that I do. But, you know, being that I live in this society where I have been ostracized, I have been sent to Coventry, and there are many reasons why that could be. And, you know, the thing people gotta know is it's not always a bad thing. It's not always for a bad reason that you've been sent to Coventry. Sometimes that's just, you know, the social circle around you, how it works. They don't care. People don't care about people. They don't care if you're living in misery. They don't care if you're depressed. All they care about is what's easiest for them if they're not making money out of you. And if they are making money out of you, how can they continue to make money out of you? Or observe you and, you know, get their laughs in. These are all very real factors for most people with mental illness. I'm not saying exactly those were things that were going through Rick Rippon's mind. I'm not saying those are the same things that were going through Wade Belak's mind. I don't know, because we get the garbage version on the television or in the media. That's simply the way it is. And I am making the point absolutely clear that this Bell Let's Talk, bunch of bullshit. That's the bare minimum. Pretend you care, but you don't really. Put a face out there for people to say, look, we're trying our best, we're doing everything we can, yada, 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 you're a fucking liar. It's as simple as that. People lie, and they lie blatantly, and they will continue to lie. And this whole let's talk, fuck you. You people talk, you people judge, and you people say shitty things. And what's a body to do? What is someone who is mentally unwell supposed to do? You know, they get put in a predicament. Most often people with mental illness, they get pushed around, pushed out of society's way, and the meager attempt by the government, really, to put a bit of zest, intellectual stimulation into their life is so bare minimum, because they want to take enjoyment out of people's lives. They want to separate them from society. And if the brain isn't properly developed, which unfortunately is the case with a lot of people with mental illness, and people can be talked out of it, after a while, if people just continue to talk to them like shit, this is, you know, being sent to Coventry kind of conversation, where they don't really want to talk to them, they say the absolute least they can, and they actively avoid that person. I mean, there are a lot of social situations where someone can't be avoided, wherever that may be, but otherwise, you know, they make a great attempt to avoid them. And I felt the full brunt of that. Never felt depressed, never felt bummed out. I don't even like saying the S word because, you know, people take it out of context and all that other kind of bullshit, right? The suicide word or anything like that. Never felt like that at all. Never will feel like that at all. And it doesn't matter what some fucking Weasley rat bastard beer rat thinks. Doesn't matter. It would make their jobs a lot easier if I, you know, just went, oh, they're so smart, everything they say is right, even though they give me the garbage version of everything and they don't want to talk about anything. And yet, Bell, let's talk. Yeah, bullshit. These specialists, the general public doesn't want to talk about it. They don't want to do anything about it. And this is the bare minimum. This is like throwing, you know, nickels and dimes at a bum. instead of, actually helping them out. You're not doing fuck all. And, society is a really twisted place. Really twisted. And a lot of people with authority and power, and they shouldn't have it. With the type of person they are, they should not have authority or power. And I'm talking about in Canada. Forget about all those third world rat's nests out there. We're talking about right here in Canada. In Canada, there are people running around with power who have mental illnesses. There's different kinds of mental illnesses. And they're able to get away with it. They're narcissists. They're the most repulsive people in the world. In Canada. And, it's such a vast topic. It's really, really hard to pinpoint exactly everything that's wrong. But there are many things that are wrong. And this Bell Let's Talk. Bell Let's Talk. Fuck you. Those cocksuckers don't want unfortunate individuals such as myself to know anything. So they will not talk about anything. They certainly will not divulge any information, because as soon as they do that, that fleece sweater they're wearing is just going to completely unravel. Everything that they worked for, through deception, underhanded, slimy, despicable, disreputable, just low down, dirty fucking maneuvering tricks. It all goes out the fucking window as soon as information's available. And don't think because you climb up a little bit on the ladder, you make more money, you're in a better job, that you can't be surrounded in a social circle where people are just assholes, because that's what they're naturally inclined to do. I know I've made this reference before where it's kind of like ducks. You go to a duck pond, if you ever see an injured duck, all the other ducks will be absolute assholes to that duck. They just will. They see it as a fifth wheel, this, that, and the other, and that duck unfortunately usually dies. That's just how nature works. It's kind of a sad thing. And that's what happens to some people with mental illness, is that they end up in this circle of bullshit where they're not really talked to properly. And people go, oh, they just need to take their medication. No, fuck you. You don't know what medication does. And talking to them like shit is not going to fucking help. It's just not going to work. If you want to put them in a place, give them medication that's going to make them sick in all kinds of ways, and then, talk to them like shit afterwards, and you think that's fixing the problem? I'm sorry, you're a bit fucked up in the head, and I don't care if you are a bureaucrat and you went to fucking school and you think you know this and that and you make a lot of money. You're still an absolute cocksucker. That's referring to the male bureaucrats. The female bureaucrats are hags, slags, hagfish, whatever you want to call them, ugly fucking things. Because you got to differentiate it. You can't call a woman bureaucrat a cocksucker, because it's, these people actually aren't offended by things like that. You really got to push back. You do have to call them names they're not going to want to hear. You do have to say things about them they're not going to want other people to know. And it's not that I, maliciously do that sort of thing. I'm perfectly happy going about my business, doing my thing. But I've heard plenty clear from what little social interaction I get that people are assholes, and they're going to continue to be assholes, and there's nothing I can do to change their mind from being assholes. Good and well, I enjoy the competition. Or should I say I did. When I leave them far in the dust, them's the breaks, eh? Fuck you. You're all pricks. Seriously, I just wish the bureaucrats I have to deal with were more intelligent. They're not fucking intelligent. I've dealt with, with certain bureaucrats, mostly psychiatrists and things like that are older, been to school, have dealt with troubled youth most of their lives, and they're a bunch of complete fucking retards in some ways. It's like they thought that they had reached the pinnacle of intelligence decades ago, and no, you're kind of lagging behind now. You became complacent and decadent. And it's like, yeah, you shouldn't be in power anymore. You shouldn't be making decisions. If I had the authority to know who these people are and hand them the pink slip, they'd be gone so fucking fast, it'd make their head spin. I have opted not to take psychiatric medication. I'm better off without it. As a matter of fact, every time I've been mentally unwell, it's been due to the stress of my physical condition brought on by psychiatric medication. I happen to know that the last one I took, Abilify, which my doctor prescribed a way higher dosage of than I was aware of. As I've said before in other videos, I am not a pharmacist. I don't know what the fuck this shit is. It just says it on the fucking package what I'm supposed to take, and that's what I do. Or did, anyway. I don't do that no more. And Abilify, if there's any situation where one might have felt anxiety or anything like that, and this is keeping in mind I had a sore throat for 7 years, still have it. It's not as bad, but still there. It went through stages of how bad it was, what it was doing, and how it was doing it, and yada yada yada. But I noticed that there were scenes where there was a tinkering of anxiety. You know, years and years ago it wouldn't have bothered me at all, but I felt it manifesting itself physically in the sense that my face started to tighten up, certain muscles in my body started to tighten up, and I was like a very stiff robot that couldn't move properly. And that's not me. That was the psychiatric medication that was doing that. And a doctor would go, oh no, anxiety can bring out all kinds of things for people and you don't know what to expect. Yeah, I don't know what to expect. I just took medication. I don't even know what the fuck's in it, and you didn't tell me what it was going to do. And this all sounds crazy to some people. Excuse me, I didn't realize I lived in a fucking, Alice in Wonder fucked up planet with like screwed up people. I don't know, this is kind of drifting off from the hockey conversation, but the NHL is focusing on Bill, let's talk. And I am saying it is bullshit, because the NHL, anyone who gets into the NHL but has mental illness, they want to get rid of them. So that's just the fact of the matter, because they'll see them as problematic. They'll see risk, they'll see this, they'll see that, and it'll make them mad because there's a lot of money involved. They're cunts. Absolute cunts, and they don't give a rat's ass about their players being mentally ill. And there are a lot of reasons why you can be stressed out in the world. There's a lot of reasons you can be anxious. There's a lot of reasons for that sort of stuff. I don't let it get me down. I'm not bothered, and I feel actually quite comfortable most of the time, especially psychologically. Physically, I took a depot injection of Clopixel for years. It takes a while to leave your system. Oh, and believe you me, when it does, let the fun begin. Oh yeah, it'll be awesome. I'd really like to join a hockey team and just be the goaltender that I wanted to do. Even just a beer league or something like that. That'd be awesome. And just pursue projects that I've been very keen on doing. And that's not the story that mental health wanted to hear about me. They wanted to hear that I was gonna fold, that I was gonna agree to their bullshit diagnosis and their treatment plan, which would have resulted in me taking medications for, well, it would have been for the rest of my life, but at least a very, 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 very long time. It's been a very, very long time already, but I mean, like, I'm gonna be like 90 years old and still taking psychiatric medications, and it's just like, that was an interesting idea, mental health. Too bad I disagree. And I wish strength for those who are in similar situations. You don't have to let it get you down. You don't have to let it get you angry. Sure, it sucks. It's a piss off. You know, you get irritating little pricks running around who have a sick, perverted, twisted sense of humor, who actually enjoy people being in situations like that. Or seeing people in situations like that, I should say. And, you know, sometimes the best way to go about dealing with people like that is to go live your life, be comfortable, be happy, and don't do what they want you to do, which would be bad. And you fuck them up bad. You fuck them up so bad they look like total chumps in front of their peers. And then that's when you can whip out the tiniest violin in the world and go, "Ooh, I'm so sorry. Fuck you." I know I've said that quite a bit in this video, but I'm going to continue to say that. You know, Bell, let's talk. I have talked. I highly doubt this is going to get many views that I'll be able to see. Doubt anyone's going to say anything about it, at least to my face anyway, because I don't have any chutzpah, I don't got any balls, I don't got any, you know, anything. There's nothing, there's no substance to their character that, you know, they're going to, you know, stand out of the crowd and actually say something to me and go, "Well, I don't agree with you because of this, I don't agree with you because of that." Instead, I'm going to hide behind a rock and, you know, say nasty things about you in a tone loud enough for you to hear, but you can't distinguish who said it. Because they're a slithery, slimy, you know, piece of filth. And you know, that is the reality of Canadians. Like, people who, you know, "Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patient land." Shut up! You're a bunch of cunts, all of you. I got no respect for this country. It could be run a whole lot fucking better than it is. Got zero respect for Justin Trudeau. Fuck! I wouldn't mind putting him in a fucking crate and sending him to the People's Republic of China. Fuck Justin Trudeau. Slithering, bend his back over for, you know, other people who wouldn't fucking so much as give us a, you know, the second chance or whatever. Fuck him. And I cannot, you know, switch off from, you know, that mentality of, I have been shafted by society. That's what happens to a lot of people in my situation. A lot of people with mental illness for different reasons, of course. You know, it's a person-to-person type of thing. And the truth is, they were shafted. And most people are shafted. And you can end up in a world where you don't learn how to use the English language with any authority or command. People don't take you seriously, and it's almost as if you're speaking a grumbly version of English or something. And it can happen to a full-grown person over time, of course, of where they just get used to people talking to them like trash, and don't think because you get out of that, if it's even possible. In my opinion, it is, man. I believe in the William Shatner, Chris Pine, Captain Kirk mentality. I don't believe in no-win situations. Don't believe in them. Fuck you. And I think you can get out of these social circles where people are just going to talk to you like trash, and anybody who might be sympathetic is too cowardly to do anything about it, or, you know, would never, you know, risk their bonds to help you out. Unfortunately, they're part of the problem. And as I was going to say, you can actually climb out of this fucking hole and try and fix things for yourself, you know, where you're in a regular social circumstance, because that's a big part of mental wellness, is being in a good social circle, man. If you're around people that talk to you like trash, and somehow they think it's making things better, sounds like a Stone Age fucking way of doing things, but, you know, We're not that sophisticated a society, not that highly advanced in social economics or anything like that, so, you know, I don't know, I guess that's the best they can do. But you can get out of that. You can get out of that problem. The only thing is, you have to be cognizant that there will always be people that want to push you back down. If for no other reason, because it makes them feel like less of a loser because there's somebody who's a bigger loser than them. That's not how I play cards. I play cards to win, not to have someone be a bigger loser than me. That's a pathetic way of doing things. Pathetic. And, you know, there's so many facets of different directions this conversation could go in, and I have talked for some time. I simply want to finish this up by saying, Bell, Let's Talk is highly inaccurate, good public relation campaign, but I dare you to have a discussion with me on the merits of Bell, Let's Talk. As a patient of mental health, I have a perspective that will differ from your average Canadian chump or your average Canadian bureaucrat who has a slanted opinion, who's not had a difficult life in the same sort of ways. You know, they pick their occupation and, you know, all the bullshit that goes with it, and that's their choice. And they can walk away from it and they have their side of the story, but it doesn't make them right. Not at all. Anyway, so we had to finish this up. I'm gonna do what my doctors didn't want me to do. Gonna have a little drink. Snaps. Alright, talk to you assholes later. Have a good one.